Let's join our hosts with their guests and let's talk about it.
Hey, Dennis O'Brien back on Let's Talk About It with another fabulous show. I'm here with my co-host Susan Johnson, and we've got the guys from the Greater Windham Veterans Council. Not that there aren't women in the council, right?
That's true.
Okay, Joe Tomanelli and Tom Riquier, and they're here to talk about Memorial Day coming up on Monday, May 26th. That's early this year, isn't it?
Yes,
I would say so, because
Yeah.
I usually open. I'm usually swimming in the backyard pool by then, but I don't think I'm going to make it this year. It's a little too cold. Anyway, it's Monday, May 26th, and it's a big, big day, a long day. We're going to talk about it with them real soon. I just wanted to mention before we start talking to Tom and Joe that remind everybody this is a very important event on Memorial Day. We have another important event coming up in Windham next Tuesday. It's the vote on the budgets. The people in Willimantic will be voting on the town budget, the Board of Ed budget, and the Willimantic Taxing District budget, which covers the old city of Willimantic. And I'm a member of the Willimantic Taxing District Board, and we are sort of the Board of Finance for police and fire. And I've been on there for several years, and I got to tell you, I have so much respect for our police and fire departments. They do a wonderful job. And this year we have a new town manager, and he's not only the town manager for the town, he also is the chief executive officer of the Willimantic Taxing District. And between him and the chief of police and the new fire chief, Ron Palmer Jr., they came up with a budget that is really bare bones. It's really low, and they just what they need to do the usual great job. There's no capital improvements in that budget, which is very unusual. No capital improvements. So and I'll tell you, the other budgets are all very modest. In fact, for the town budget and for the Willimantic Taxing District budget, the expenditures are less than they were last year. Okay, so and the Board of Education has a small, modest increase. So I personally am urging everybody to go out on Tuesday and vote for all three budgets in Willimantic and two budgets out in the Windhams. I hope you'll remember to go out and vote. Voting is at the usual polling places in Windham Center for the people of Windham, and some people of Windham vote at the Elks Club, and also here in the city at the VFW. Polling places open at 6 a.m. and they close at 8 p.m. And you can tell them Dennis O'Brien sent you, okay? Thank you very much. Now we'll talk a little bit with these guys from the Greater Windham Veterans Council about the veterans and also about Memorial Day especially. So Joe and Tom, thanks for coming.
Well, thank you very much, Dennis, and thank you, Susan, for having us. We are very excited about this year's Memorial Day, and probably that stems from last year's Memorial Day. And I'd like Tom to talk a little bit about last year's Memorial Day parade so that people can have an idea of remembering what we did. So go ahead, Tom.
Oh, last year we were all a little apprehensive on what was going to happen, but it happened well. We were very happy with it. We had a parade. We had plenty of veterans, and we made it to Memorial Park. We had a trailer with the older veterans in it, or the ones disabled veterans, and they really enjoyed that. And we got to the park, and that went very well. We had more people than I think we had in years. And I haven't been to many of them recently, but when I was a kid, that park was full. And it went right across the street. But we're working to get that back. We came up with a few ideas. When I was done last year, people came up to me. I'm not good at making speeches and whatever. But they came up to me, they thanked me for everything. They thanked me for the parade. They thanked me for up there. It was very successful, and they thanked a lot of us veterans. And down American Legion, everybody was happy. So we might have done something right. So we're going to try to do the same thing basically this year. And we're going to add a little, I'm going to call it a hook, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But we're hoping that everyone remembers last year's parade and how successful it was, and the fact that you all made it successful by coming out. And we'd like, again, to invite all veterans in Windham to come and march with us, or ride the trailer from the Legion that the Legion provides. Come and join us. We would love to have you. We want veterans to be remembered for the service that they've given to our country. Now, before the parade, there is a pilgrimage. And the pilgrimage goes to all of the town cemeteries where we recognize all the veterans who might be there and the families. Some families meet us at those cemeteries, and we count on them every year. So the pilgrimage will meet at the VFW hall near Dollar General, and we depart the VFW at 7 a.m. and go to the New Willimantic Cemetery. And from there, we go on to all the cemeteries in town where we have a short ceremony with the flag, with a wreath, and with taps.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for doing that. And I think I've been at every single one of those except for 1 year when I wasn't well. And it's a wonderful event. It starts at 7 in the morning, meeting at the VFW, the Veterans for Foreign Wars building there on the corner of Valley Street there. And also, it's a great way to get together and really understand this amazing service that our veterans have provided to this country for decades and century, more than a century now. And I just want to also thank Tom Riquier for his work with the American Legion, because you have done a fabulous job there. And some of the great things that occurred last year are working together with the Greater Wyndham Veterans Council and putting together this great parade, because the nicer and bigger the parade is, the more sense of community we have with everybody, and understanding how people participate to serve their country is another aspect of community that I think that we really all must really take into consideration as we take a look at who we are and where we are and why we are where we are, because of the freedoms that our veterans have provided. So I'm really, really thrilled to be part of these situations, these ceremonies, and also to remember that Memorial Day is the day that we remember those who gave everything, their lives, in service to this country, and remembering the families that had to suffer those losses, all because of their service to our country, to make sure the people who are here now are able to enjoy the freedoms, enjoy the wealth of this country. So I thank you both for being on the show, and I want to make sure that we let everybody know about what to do. And we want everybody to participate, because that's the best way that we can show our support and our sense of community.
I want to interject, Susan. I can attest that Susan has attended, 17 or 18 of those
yes.
pilgrimages early Monday morning.
Yeah.
And I have to say, she talked me into going on one of them. And I did one, that's all. And I heard Joe speaking yesterday on the Wayne Norman show, and says everybody should do at least one and see what it's like. Well, I've done mine, but I don't know if I'm going to make it next Monday. But that's awfully early on a day that I normally have off. I'm still working at age, oh God, I'm an octogenarian. Anyway, but I'm still working, and so I like to get a little time off. In fact, I'm going to ask Tom Riquier about some of those parades he remembers when he was a kid, because I remember I grew up in New Britain, and I remember the parades in New Britain. That was unbelievable to, how people came out for those parades with the bands and everything. But the other thing I wanted to ask before I give up the floor is, because sometimes when I'm with Susan, I don't get it back.
Well, that's not true.
I wanted to ask if you have, when I walked in today into the studio, Joe Tomanelli said to me he thought I lost a little weight, and I said, oh, maybe I have, for me about 3 or 4 pounds. And I said, gee, maybe I can fit in that cart that you have on parade day, because I have bad arthritis in my knees.
Go on a trailer with the rest of the guys.
I want to be in the trailer with the rest of the old veterans.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
I'm certainly qualified by age. So I am looking forward to that. In fact, Susan told me last year, she says, you should be in the cart with the old veterans.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't march in the parade because my knees were bothering me so badly. I'm working real hard to keep them in as best shape as I can. But I'm looking forward to the parade myself. And if you can make room for me in the cart, I'd like to
Absolutely.
be there. I'd like to reserve a spot in the cart and ride in the parade with the old veterans and swap some stories.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me, one thing on a pilgrimage. It says 7 a.m.
Right.
That means 7 a.m.
I know.
because I missed the first one. I got there about
Yeah.
The 7 a.m. is early.
Yeah, we leave. at
I
7 a.m.
caught up
Yes, they do,
with the
yes.
cell phones, but
I have heard a
that's
lot of
good.
stories from Susan because I know a lot of the,
I
Andy
get
Carey
that.
used
I
to
get
be
that.
on every pilgrimage. Andy Carey, Joe
Yeah,
Marsalisi, he probably
he's
still
always-
goes.
Oh,
He
he's
does.
still
Joe
going.
Marsalisi, talk about a great veteran, and
Yeah.
his brother, he called him Tuffy, Tefano Marsalisi, who I think was in, the Korean War, or I don't think he was old enough to be in World War II.
Yeah.
But maybe. No, Joe, because Joe's a little bit older than I am, maybe a lot. And Joe Marsalisi never misses the pilgrimage.
Yeah.
I know that. And Susan has told me all kinds of stories about the other people who have gone on the pilgrimage with her.
Joe's always been really kind to me. He's always, if he's driving, he says, "Hey, join me and let me drive." And so, if I get there in time, then I can hop in Joe's car
right.
and let him drive.
you're late too.
No,
you gotta
not late, not where I have to worry about following the group. But I do follow the group sometimes with my own car, or I get in the car with Joe. Usually, if I'm on time, I go with Joe, and if I'm not, I hit in the end of the parade.
My job on Memorial Day is to make sure Sue gets out the door in time, because she's not as much of a morning person as I am.
No,
But
I'm definitely a lark.
But she's
an owl. He's
she's
the
a
lark on the owl.
she's a night owl, and she has turned me into somewhat of a night owl. She has won that battle over the years. But what Tom says is right. They say 7 a.m. They mean it.
Oh
That's
yeah, they're on
correct.
their way. Yes.
That's right.
And Joe Marsalisi is just a blessing to this community.
Yes, he is.
He's done his part as a veteran, and he's never forgotten his roots. And we are very grateful. He always supplies the sound system for the
Yep.
parade. He supplies the sound system for the Greenway for us, so that we can have what we need. And he is a constant presence at the pilgrimage. And the reason I think that everyone should attend one pilgrimage is because it would give you a different perspective on Memorial Day. When you're there and you see the families at the graves, when you're there and you see the flag represented, when you're there and you hear taps, it's solemn and it's meaningful, and it's not the parade, which is also very important, but it brings to heart the purpose of what we're doing. And that perspective it revitalized me. Mm-hmm. I decided a long time ago I wasn't going to miss these. So it's really a touching thing. And if anyone's out there who's never been on a pilgrimage, please come and join us. Or find the cemetery that's closest to where you live and join us when you see the cars coming. It's an experience.
Well, if I can ride it in the cart at the parade, maybe I'm going to try. I'm not going to promise, but I'm going to try to make it for the pilgrimage again a second time.
Sure.
Okay, because you're right. You're right about the experience. It is something that really hits you in the heart.
Yeah.
It's a real, it's very solemn, but it's also uplifting, because everybody you see all the people who appreciate the veterans who have given their all for this country.
Yeah.
This great country.
And it's another thing to think about is the people who are serving now, and they will one day be veterans as well. And so when we honor the people who have served, and on a memorial to the people who have given their all, their lives, then I think it makes people who serve as veterans feel like they're being respected and honored and thought of. And we need to have our veterans, because without the brave veterans we have, we won't be the home of the free.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to talk about the speaker,
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Donald, known as Old D. I go back about I met OD when he first came from Martha's Vineyard, 1991, and we became friends. After he retired, I talked him into going into the parade. And this is his first answer. Nah, I don't really, he said, I don't know what my schedule is. He made up excuses. And then I asked him again. He said, well, I'll check my schedule. I don't think so. And then, little by little, he said, okay, I'll come. And then he came. He marched in the parade that day. He enjoyed it. Now, he wasn't a member of the American Legion, nothing. He got up to Memorial Park, and he said to me, hey, thank you, I enjoyed it. I said, stick around, I'm going to make a speech. He said, I gotta go. So I said, okay. And I went through the speech and everything, and there was people milling around afterwards, and all of a sudden OD comes up, shakes my hand. I'm proud of you, he said. I'm glad I stayed. Disappears. And then we're looking for someone he retires in between. And we're looking for someone to make a speech. And I went through the same thing with him. We thought he'd be a good one. He said, no way, I'm not going to do it. Little by little. And then one day he said, I'll think about it. I called him Joe. He's definite yes. A month later, he said yes. And now there's a guy who was a veteran, 4 years in the Air Force, came out a major in 4 years. That's
fast.
That's fast.
Yeah.
So we're talking. Let me see. I lost my train of thought. Okay.
You're not the first one to do that on the show.
I'm over 82,
Yeah, I was guessing that you might be
But
almost as old as me.
He didn't have anything to do with the veterans, the Legion, or anything.
Yeah.
And in 1 year, he's making a speech. In between, he joined the Legion. These are the kind of people we got to get involved. And he's involved with a little bit with the Legion. His wife joined the auxiliary. And we're looking for more people like that.
Absolutely. We have to do
And
that.
he'll do a great job.
I was a speaker 1 year for, I don't know, I don't remember whether it was Memorial Day or Veterans Day.
I think it was Veterans Day.
I think it was Veterans Day. I think I got a lot of reaction from the crowd. And it was, I enjoyed it a lot, and I enjoyed being there, and I enjoyed being asked as a veteran to do that.
As far as the parade goes, after the pilgrimage, we all assemble at Gilson Square, where the community center is, the new community center, and that'll be at 10 o'clock. So if you're interested in marching in the parade, or you have people who are going to be marching in the parade, at 10 o'clock we assemble. And the reason we assemble at 10 o'clock is it takes us about a half an hour, 20 minutes or half an hour to line everyone up. So we have a certain places for people to go. And we want to get people lined up because we usually put the fire trucks last, I believe. And we don't want you to be behind the fire trucks where people won't see you. So 10 o'clock, we assemble at Gilson Square. We step off at 10:30. And we go from Gilson Square up to Memorial Park. We made that change a few years ago. The walk from Memorial Park to the American Legion was keeping people from being in the parade, and we didn't think it was worth it to do that. We thought that we should make it more accessible to anyone who wants to be there. And now with the trailer that the American Legion has, it makes it even easier for the veterans. And so our parade will meet at 10 o'clock, and we will march off or drive off at 10:30 and make our way to Memorial Park.
That's great, and I think that's a wonderful route to pick because it's a classic, our classic parade route, and it's the way that we do our 4th of July parade. So it's a wonderful way to go, and I think people are used to lining up on Main Street and going to those areas that that we actually have designated for a good parade. So I like that idea. I also like the idea of you have the ceremony there in the park for the veterans. And there's usually that ceremony there as well, honoring the Vietnam veterans. Andy Carey had put that park together.
And we could talk about that.
Yeah. Well, when we get back
ready.
from this, we're about ready to go to let our sponsors say hello to everybody. This is Susan Johnson. I'm here with my co-host Dennis O'Brien. Our very special guests today, Joe Tomanelli and Tom Riquier, who are talking to us about our Memorial Day recognition for 2025. Thank you so much. Welcome back, everyone. This is Susan Johnson. I'm here with my co-host, Dennis O'Brien, and our very special guest this evening. We have with us Joe Tomanelli and also Tom Riquier to talk to us about our Greater Veterans Day for Memorial Day that's coming up relatively early this year. Memorial is always celebrated the last Monday of the month. And this time it's quite early. What exactly day is that?
26th.
It's the 26th. There it is right there on the paper.
To help you
Monday.
out.
26th. Monday the 26th. It is on the Monday, but I wanted to get the number in there
It's always
too.
a Monday as far as I can remember.
It's always the last Monday of the month of May. And they probably changed it because it should be the 31st, correct?
Right.
But then Congress made it the last Monday of
Oh, they
May.
changed it. Congress
Yeah.
did that.
Yes, they did.
'Cause I
Well,
was
who
always-
else could do that?
I was always hoping to get out into the pool on Memorial Day, but I don't think I'm going to make it this year. For one thing, I'm older now, and I'm very sensitive to cold water. So I have to be, I don't know if I can do that. But I will be at the parade, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
In fact, I may even try to
too.
make it, as I said in the first segment, I may even try to make it for the cemetery pilgrimage. I'm going to try.
One of the things that's become very important to Tom and I and the rest of the Women Veterans Council is legacy. And I think that's very important. Now, probably it's important to me because I've entered my senior citizen years. But I would challenge anybody who's listening out there to think about the word legacy, because it means so much. What your parents did for you as you were growing up, the way they raised you, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, the people who made their way before you so that you could follow in their footsteps. And when we talk about the Greater Women Veterans Council, we talk about the American Legion, we talk about the VFW, Disabled American Veterans, AMVETS. We need young people to come out and help us, young people to come out and be with us, young people to come out and become the next leaders. Don't wait for these organizations to be left behind and are gone. These organizations are important. The legacies of those who have gone before us are important. And Tom and I, as I said, and the rest of the Greater Women Veterans Council would like to focus on legacy. And one of the reasons this parade is so important is we'd like to see this 40 years from now.
Absolutely.
Hopefully this is still
Yes.
going on. And because this is a special town.
It is. We are very
That's why
unusual.
we're here. We're all here because it is
Very
a special
unusual.
time.
We do everything here in this town, and we're a very small town, but we have so many things that we do for the people, and that sense of community is something that WILI brings together, that the Chronicle does.
And this show for 25 years.
Thank
That's
you.
right. 25
Thank you.
years, thanks to the Gates family.
Yes.
Denny and
That's
Craig.
a legacy.
That is a legacy, and I can't believe we've done it this long, and we're still on. And we, you know what it is? It's because we have great guests. It's the guests that make the show.
Absolutely.
That's why. See, you guys, I would never have thought about getting up at 7 o'clock or earlier than 7 o'clock because I gotta get ready. I gotta shave, shower, and do everything. I gotta do before I go out anywhere. And I'm going to have to get up very early on Monday the 26th, and I wouldn't have done that if you guys didn't show up on the show. And, I just volunteered, and I will show up.
I just wanted to say, how will people be able to, say they're driving in the car right now, how can somebody find out all the information about this Memorial Day, recognition of the people who served and gave their all? How will they find this? Is there a place they can go online to find this information?
Well, I don't believe there is a place online.
Okay.
But they can contact the Wyndham Veterans Affairs Officer, Bill Woodbury. They call him Woody.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And he is at 860-450-2106, extension 3306. He's at the community center. So if you call the community center, if you can't remember this number, or you don't have something to write with, or you're not good with numbers like I am, call the community center, and they will put you in touch with Bill Woodbury, the Veterans Affairs Officer, and he can give you all the information that you need. If you're driving down the road, you can look on the digital bulletin board. We put something there every year. So there are places for you to find out this information, and
Right.
we hope that you will find it out and come.
And one of the other places you can find it out, if you sign up for my e-blasts, susan.johnson@cga.ct.gov, or just go on the Connecticut General Assembly legislative website, and every single week I blast the show, and you can find out all the information about the show and the date, which is Memorial Day, the last Monday of the month, May 26th, and you'll have all the information about the pilgrimage, which starts at 7 in the morning at the VFW Hall, the parade, which starts where everybody assembles at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then takes off and walks to Gilson Memorial Park for the main ceremony at 11 o'clock. And, of course, we want to talk again about Dr. O.D. Donald, who will be the speaker.
Okay. You want to talk about that club?
Two.
Yeah, I don't want to put you in a position of us running out of time, so I'm going to go through a couple of things quickly.
Sure.
Because Tom has something really, really neat that he has thought of, and we are going to get behind it. Gary Pomo took on a project this year of the Agent Orange Memorial for the town of Wyndham. Now, Agent Orange was a chemical defoliant used from 1961 to 1971 as a part of Operation Ranch Hand. And what it did was the planes would come and they would drop Agent Orange, and it would defoliate the plant so they could expose to guerrilla warfare. And part of what happened is a lot of veterans suffered from that. And in order for those veterans not to be forgotten, because Wyndham is very supportive of veterans, I want to say that the town council is, Susan is, Mayflexer is. We've got lots of support. They all got behind Gary and his mission for the Agent Orange Memorial, and we will be unveiling that memorial on Memorial Day. So people, after the parade, we're not going to spend a lot of time on it during the ceremony, but after the ceremony's over, you'll be able to see the Agent Orange Memorial now in Memorial Park that is part of Wyndham's history. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And congratulations to Gary and to the town and to all the donors. We had some very significant donations that helped us pay for this.
Thank you so much to Gary Pomo for doing this. I had a friend who was really seriously stricken with the Agent Orange, lots of different types of cancer, and he recently passed a couple of years ago. But he was one of my best friend's husband, and he really suffered with the impact of the Agent Orange. So I'm very, very pleased to see that Gary Pomo did this.
I'm very proud to know that our town is has sponsored and is funding with the help of a lot of individuals an Agent Orange Memorial here in town. I happen to be the town attorney, and Susan is my assistant. We're associates. Okay.
We're partners, actually.
We're partners. Yeah,
we're law partners in accordance with the law, honey.
But you're primarily a legislator.
But I am you want to get into the legal aspects?
Oh no, I anyway, we worked for the town of Andover, and for 22 years, and at the town of Andover, there was a guy there that initiated a memorial there. Everybody knows where it is. Jerry Wright. And I think he might have moved out of town now.
He did.
I think he did, but he did an incredible job. That memorial is amazing, and it's on. It's right on the highway. It's right on. It's right on. What is it? Route 6. Yeah.
So I also want to give a shout out to Wyndham High School. there's a young man at Windham High School named Tom Pelton, and he is doing a marvelous job with the Windham High School Band, and they'll be joining us on Memorial Day. Come out and see the Windham High School Band. We're very, very proud of them. And so that we don't run out of time, I'm going to yield to Tom right now because Tom came up with an idea about the 80 Club. And Tom, would you talk about the 80 Club so that we can get that going?
This afternoon, I was waiting for Joe, and I'm just thinking, what can we do to get more people to come every time? Well, last year, we honored Jack Carchidi and Jimmy Cardile, and they both had...
We're both over 100 years old.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
That's a lot more
Jack's
than
going to be
80.
103 coming up, I think. I think Jimmy's going to be 102.
That's amazing.
But anyways, their families were there.
Yep.
And we honored a few other people, and they had their families there. Why were the families there? Because they were being honored. So how can we honor people? So I threw this over to Joe. I said, why don't we acknowledge everybody, every veteran who's 80 years old in the crowd by their name? There'll probably be about maybe 20. We'll take their picture afterwards. It'll be a nice little photo op. And guess who's going to come next year? Them same 20 people. And it'll be more veterans. And they'll be bringing their families.
If they're still around, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Now.
Hopefully they will. I'm planning on it.
You better be.
I'm planning on being here for a while. I want to make it to 100 too.
So we'd like to invite anyone who has a veteran who's 80 years or older to call
Tom at T&M 456-4231.
leave your name, leave the name of the veteran, their age, and the branch of service, and have them come to the ceremony. Would love to recognize them and have a picture after the ceremony that will be put in the Chronicle.
And next year we'll do the same thing.
Yep.
And hopefully forever.
Very good. That's a great idea.
Well, you
Very
can count
good
me
idea.
in.
And I will blast that information as well.
Okay.
You got to write
Do
it
I have
down.
to show my DD 214 in order to qualify?
Yes, in your case.
In my case only, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very, very
I
good.
did it. I
Very
did
good.
it.
Yeah. So this is fabulous work
Actually, it
that you're
changed my
doing.
life
This is
for the
really
better.
trying to get our community together, getting our senior citizens together who served our country, and having people do more with the American Legion, so that we can, get to know people and talk to them and talk about their experiences. Let everybody know. All the difficulties people face when they're serving during war or just serving in the military.
Yeah, talking about the American Legion, we're having a concert this Sunday at 1 o'clock at the French Club, and Lefty Foster's putting it on. And it goes from 1 o'clock to probably whenever.
9 o'clock, I think, from what I saw on Facebook.
And
He does long concerts.
David Foster,
You're wonderful,
this community, we had about 10 of them.
Oh yeah, he's
But
definitely an angel.
we're blessed to have one of them.
Yeah.
And he's a good person.
He's a fabulous person.
He's
He's
a-
done so many things for our community.
I remember him when he started Shabu,
Yes.
19 years old. My father made a comment about him. He said, the kid's not old enough to smoke.
He's not, and he said I wasn't even old enough to drink, so he couldn't drink. But he had that Shabu Inn where people could drink, and he couldn't drink for a while when he first started the Shabu Inn.
And his dad Lester said to him, he said, David, how are you going to afford this club? You don't have enough money to buy a suit. And he tells that story from time to time. He's a great sense of humor and just an absolute blessing to the town of Windham. He's never forgotten his roots either.
No, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't.
And I'm so thrilled that he was. I'll never forget when I told David Foster that I was able to get some money for his stage at the Gilson Square. And he was on the show when I told him that, because I just found out. And I never saw him so happy. He was thrilled that I got a stage here. And he actually took on that whole stage thing, and he made it into quite a beautiful stage, quite an amazing place, very flexible. He gave huge donations to make sure that the town could pay off the stage, and now we have a great place for community activities. So he did a great job with that.
I knew David's grandfather.
Oh, really? Wow.
He sold bananas
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Fabulous.
throughout New England.
Yes.
Wow.
That's how they started.
Yeah. Very, very good. I guess
did
his
not
dad
know
was a
that.
musician.
I knew Lester. I remember
Fruit
Lester.
stands.
No, his place was St. Joseph's Church,
Uh-huh.
the parking lot in the back. Go right towards Ivy Street and right across, right where the train tracks were.
Uh-huh. Wow.
That's going back, I'll tell you.
One of the great community events that we had when David was he was doing one of his performances, and he always takes the money from those performances and donates it to the soup kitchen. And one of the things, I was going around talking to people, and a lot of people had worked in the factory, or they had relationships with David's family, and it really made me think about another interesting quality about Wyndham, and that is we have such a history of multiple generations still here, and that really is part of how people get that sense of community, is when you have those multiple generations here. Now, some of it's been mashed up a little bit because of the loss of the thread and some of the, but still we have those things, those traditions, those family members, and by doing what you're doing, Tom, by having the veterans who are 80 and older be part of this group at the American Legion, I think we're going to set up more community connections with people that maybe they forgot about, but they're going to be coming back and having those connections. So I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, call Tom at TNM, 860-456-4231. Give him the name, the age, and the branch of service of your veteran, and we'd love to recognize them. And Susan, going along with what you're talking about, it's legacy.
Yes,
it's the
thank
things
you.
that make us who we are. And I am older, but I just don't think that's to be ignored. When I think about what my father did for me, working 3 jobs so my mother could stay home. When I think about my grandfather, who followed work as a locksmith from Nova Scotia to Montreal, to Sanford, Maine, to Worcester, and then to Hartford, Connecticut. In search of a way for us to have a life that we could be proud of, and we could do all the things that would make our dreams realities.
That's such a great point. And I want any last moments for either one of our guests, or either Tom.
We're down
or
to a minute
Joe.
left on the show.
Well, veterans, come march with us. We want to recognize all veterans, Hispanic veterans, veterans of color. Veterans, come and march with us. We want you to be honored. We want you to be recognized, and we're here for you.
All right, you got that sense of community and that common experience as veterans. So let's get together and let's recognize the people on Memorial Day, Monday, May 26th.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, Susan and Dennis.
Great to see you both, and I will definitely get to bed early on the 25th of the month.
All right.
We'll start without you.
All right, everybody,
I'm sure you will.
join us
sure you
next
will.
week for another great show.
I'll be there.